What if I told you the biggest tax cut in US history could be coming? One that could put thousands of dollars back into your pocket, or depending on who you ask, can cost the economy trillions of dollars. All right. So Donald Trump has officially outlined his tax priorities, and this could be a game changer for workers, businesses, and retirees. But there's a catch and a huge debate over who really wins when it comes to this. So let's break this all the way down, and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how this can go ahead and impact your wallet. So let's talk about what's in Trump's tax plan. That's the most important thing. That's the biggest thing. Let's get out the way. All right. So let's get straight into it. So Trump's new tax proposal expands on the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act with 5 major components. So let's go through them. And I want you to comment below which one do you think is going to impact you and benefit you the most. All right. So number one, the 2017 Tax Cuts, making it permanent. So right now, the 2017 tax cuts are set to expire in 2025. And if that happens, tax rates will go up for most Americans. And Trump's plan would prevent that by locking in the current rates that there are right now, right? So right now, the top individual tax rate stays at 37% instead of jumping back to the 39.6% that it was prior. The standard deduction remains nearly double what it was before 2017, being able to help more families and single filers be able to keep more of their income tax free. The corporate tax rate, which dropped from 35% to 21% in 2017, is going to continue to stay low and possibly even lower if he does this for domestic manufacturers. All right, number two. So he's going to eliminate taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. So this is probably one of the most aggressive tax cut proposals. If passed, this is what it means. All right. So service workers like waiters, bartenders, and hotel staff won't pay federal income tax on tips anymore. All right. So overtime will be exempt from federal taxation, and Social Security benefits currently taxed for some retirees will no longer be taxed at all. All right. So I know all of this probably sounds great, more money in your pocket. But here's the thing. Cutting Social Security taxes also means less money flowing into the system. And that could actually impact the future benefit of retirement benefits. All right. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Another thing he's looking to do is increase the SALT deduction. All right. So if you live in a high income tax state like California, maybe New York, New Jersey, this one's a big deal. All right. So right now, the state and local tax, which is also known as SALT deduction, is capped at 10,000, limiting how much you could be able to deduct. So Trump's plan aims to be able to remove or raise that cap, meaning that middle to upper income earners in those high income tax states would see a significant tax savings. And critics argue it benefits wealthier people and reduces the federal revenue, meaning that the money that the government's going to be able to use to be able to keep the government operating. All right. So what does this mean for the everyday American, or mostly the upper class? All right. So let me know what you think. All right. So number four, right? Tax breaks for American manufacturing. So Trump's been very vocal about made in America incentives, but how would this work? All right. So let's talk about what's on the table here. So what he's looking to do, he's going to lower corporate tax rates for companies manufacturing goods in the United States and incentivizes businesses that move their production back from overseas. All right. So what he's looking to do, he's going to do tariffs on foreign goods to be able to make American made products more competitive in the world. And supporters say this could bring jobs back to America. And people who are criticizing this warn that tariffs could actually raise prices for consumers. So is this a win? Could it backfire? Let me know what you think in the comments below, right? Also, he's looking to close tax loopholes for billionaires, all right? And that's part of the plan as well, that he's going to target the ultra wealthy, right? So Trump is actually pushing to be able to close tax breaks that benefit sports team owners and investment managers, including eliminating the carried interest loophole, which allows hedge fund managers to be able to pay lower capital gains tax instead of income tax. He's looking to end tax exemptions for professional sports stadiums, which often receive taxpayer funded benefits as well. So he's looking to do those and really target those billionaires, right? So this sounds like It's going after billionaires, but let's be real, right? The revenue generated from being able to eliminate these tax loopholes is literally just a drop in the bucket compared to the total cost of the tax cuts. And that's where things are going to get a little bit more complicated. So let's talk about what this actually is going to cost and whether or not it's going to be sustainable. So here's the deal. Massive tax cuts sound great. They may be exciting, but how do you pay for them, right? So experts estimate that this plan could reduce the federal revenue by anywhere from 5 trillion to 11 trillion dollars over the next decade, right? So if there are no spending cuts to be able to offset this, that means that the national debt is going to continue to rise 132%, 149% of GDP by 2035. Potential cuts to Medicare and Social Security may end up happening with this. There's going to possibly be higher borrowing costs for the government and possibly even for you as interest rates climb. So supporters argue that the tax cuts will fuel economic growth and be able to offset the loss. But people who are criticizing this say that they mostly benefit corporations and the wealthy. So what's your take, right? More money in your pocket now or potential long-term risks? So let me know if you think it's worth it below. All right. So let's also talk about who this actually benefits. So based on what I shared, people who are going to benefit the most from this are going to be workers earning tips and overtime. So they're going to be able to have more take-home pay, but it could lead to wage adjustments from employers now that they know there's going to be some taxes being changed with those. Maybe employers may change the way they offer the payment to those employees, right? Retirees. So no more Social Security tax, but what happens to the Social Security funding, right? How is that going to be funded now for the future? High income earners in high income tax states. So the SALT deduction changes benefit them the most when it comes to that. Corporations and manufacturers to lower taxes for them, but how much of that trickles down to the actual workers? All right. So really the question becomes who's going to win the most with this, right? Do middle class Americans get the most benefits, or is it going to be the ultra wealthy? So here's where things get really interesting, right? So the Republican led Congress could pass these tax cuts through the budget reconciliation, passing the 60 vote filibuster, right? But even within the GOP, there's a division, right? So some Republicans want to be able to extend the 2017 tax cuts, but avoid adding new ones because those are going to potentially increase the debt. Others want deeper tax cuts, believing that it's going to spur economic growth, which is going to offset the cost of being able to cut these. Democrats strongly oppose parts of the plan, especially the cuts that benefit wealthier Americans. So bottom line is this is going to be a battle, and the final version of this plan could look very different from what Trump is proposing right now. So nothing's finalized, but there's going to be a lot more to come when it comes to this. All right. So what happens next? Right. Congress is now going to spend the next few months debating over the details, and any final legislation could shift significantly. But now I want to hear from you, right? Which of these cuts do you believe will benefit you the most? Do you think these are going to be sustainable? Should Congress pass them? Drop your comments below. And if you want a more deep dive into tax policies, finance, and politics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notifications. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.